Ladies and gentlemen, it was a wild and pretty sobering day today in New York City as Donald Trump was on trial. A man who is not really identified with either the right or the left. I think from what I've read, he is more identified with the left because of some of his views. He dunked himself in gasoline and then he proceeded to light himself on fire. And this happened right outside the courthouse. And many news cameras were live, and they quickly panned to this guy, and they panned away because no one really realized that this was happening. I know Laura Coates, she was live on CNN when this happened, and she thought it was an active shooter. And then shortly after, she realized it was actually a man who had lit himself on fire. But what little we know about this guy is coming out. And I have kind of browsed his Instagram account. I guess he had Reddit, and he also had a Substack. But this is what we know about this man so far. It's very sad that people go to these extremes. This guy, it looks like he went down a very deep rabbit hole, a conspiracy rabbit hole. And I mean, come on, guys, we all are always thinking of conspiracy theories because of what we see happening in our country. But this guy apparently went so deep down that he felt it necessary to commit this extreme act to the point where now he's gotten exactly what he wanted. And it's really sad. I don't know if this guy is currently alive. The latest reports I've seen is that he is, and he is in extreme critical condition. But this is what we know. Man who self-immolated, identified manifesto on planetary cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. This is the man right here, Max Azzarello. And on his Instagram account, he sang a song. It was quite a haunting thing, talking about a revolution. But the man who self-immolated outside the courthouse where former President Donald Trump's trial is currently underway has been identified as Max Azzarello. Azzarello, who described himself as an independent researcher, released a manifesto shortly before carrying out his plan on Friday afternoon. Writing his extreme act of protest was to draw attention to an apocalyptic fascist world coup via a cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. Wow, that's pretty extreme. This is what he said. I guess he released his manifesto, and this is what he said. To my friends and family, witnesses, and first responders, I deeply apologize for inflicting this pain upon you, but I assure you it is a drop in the bucket compared to what our government intends to inflict. This is an act of revolution, he asserted. Azzarello claimed billionaire political activist Peter Thiel intentionally started a bank run on Silicon Valley Bank in March 2023. Thiel's move came days after the collapse of Silvergate Bank, which Azzarello claimed has been deeply invested in cryptocurrencies. According to Azzarello's investigation into Thiel and the billionaire's venture capital firm, Founders Fund, Azzarello claimed cryptocurrency had become the world's first planetary multi-trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme. He said, quote, the banks were used to move out stolen Ponzi money. This signals that they're no longer dumping cash in to keep the cryptocurrency Ponzi afloat and that it will soon go insolvent, as all Ponzis must. Wow, that's interesting. I guess we shall see. This is the man right here. But he went on to warn half of the global stock market would be taken down after the alleged Ponzi scheme went insolvent. The perpetrators, this is Azzarello talking, used their major companies to pipe into the blockchain so they could funnel money out from the crypto exchanges, he continued. This includes Google, Tesla, Apple, PayPal, Facebook, Disney, Walmart, Target, InBev, Zoom, and countless others. Global inflation in recent years has been directly caused by the cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme, according to this gentleman. He said, it is a Ponzi scheme so large that it creates global inflation, which is why the price of Bitcoin has been a remarkable leading indicator for inflation rates. Victims who bought crypto don't realize their money has already been stolen, so the money gets double counted by the victims and the criminals who stole it. As it turns out, our elites are awash in Ponzi schemes. Azzarello's manifesto continues. This is a selection. Stanford StartX.com investment fund in Jeffrey Epstein's program for evolutionary dynamics he ran at Harvard are both fake science Ponzi factories that these schools have invested billions in. They are filled with fraudulent companies that use smoke and mirrors to compromise miraculous new technology, but always collapse while the perpetrators only get richer, funneling trillions of dollars in stolen cash through the stock market, creating the largest stock market anomaly in history. The stock chart signature of a Ponzi scheme is a massive increase while they stack up the cash, and then a massive fall as they funnel out the stolen cash. This chart shape appeared in all the companies listed above. In order to explain the massive anomaly, our criminal government unleashed COVID on the world and told us these were the stay-at-home stocks. Azzarello went on to claim that the United States government was fully involved in the totalitarian con, citing former President Bill Clinton and others connected to the Clinton Global Initiative were also involved in the Ponzi scheme. Like I said, this guy, he really didn't identify with the right or the left, but he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. There were pictures of him with Bernie Sanders shirt on. So he kind of had some leftist ideology, as well as on his Reddit, he talked about some ideas that the left are involved in. But as it turns out, we have a secret kleptocracy. Both parties are run by financial criminals whose goals are to divide, deceive, and bleed us dry, he continued. They divide the public against itself and blame the other party while everything gets worse and more expensive, and a handful of people take all the money. Since it is fully parasitic, a secret kleptocracy is an incredibly unstable form of government. Left to its own devices, it can only lead to fascism or a failed state. Azzarello's manifesto also claimed long-running animated sitcom The Simpsons served as a brainwash entertainment outlet. You know, a lot of these things I've read on Twitter and various other sites, but I never really took them that seriously. News media tells us to be angry and tribalized. Daytime television warns us of moral decay. Local news tells us to fear our neighbors, he wrote. The Simpsons tell us we're too oafish and divided to save the American dream. Seinfeld tells us to celebrate the a-holes and be irritated by all the normal people around us. Reality TV tells us that real life is filled with hedonism and strife. Azzarello's manifesto and Act of Revolution do not appear to be in favor or protest of either major political party, as he criticizes both liberals and conservatives in his manifesto. He says, quote, liberals mock the hypocrisy of conservatives, conservatives mock the hypocrisy of liberals, and our collective circumstances erode. No matter the bubbles we ascribe to, we're bombarded with existential crisis with no solutions. Azzarello claimed global elites have allegedly enacted their totalitarian doomsday cult because capitalism is unsustainable and they knew it. Climate change and resource extraction would catch up eventually, so they never intended to sustain it, he continued. They knew all along that they would gobble up all the wealth they could and then yank the rug from under us so they could pivot to a hellish fascist dystopia. Shortly before self-immolating on Friday afternoon, Azzarello reportedly handed out flyers which appeared to reference his investigation and manifesto before tossing them into the air and setting himself on fire. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, very sad indeed. I watched multiple angles of this video on Twitter, and it was haunting what happened. And it reminds me of that Air Force gentleman who walked in front of, I believe it was an Israeli consulate, and did a similar thing in protest. And I really don't know what else to say about this. People were scrambling to figure out whether or not it was a protest for or against Trump. And it really seems like this guy has a completely different thing in mind here. Like I said, I mean, he seems to be more left-leaning, but he also criticizes both sides. And I'm not here really to make it about one side or another, because what happened is pretty jarring, to say the least. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.